Are you a teacher who is currently trying to find balance? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 techniques to help you to avoid teacher stress and hopefully prevent teacher burnout. In nearly 20 years of being in the field of education, one thing I know for sure is that the stress is inevitable, but I do know that the job is so worth it. I know that the things that have stressed me out are so minute compared to the benefits that I've reaped from this job. There have been so many people who have told me what a difference I've made in their lives, and I know so many teachers who have made a difference in my life. So I don't want teachers to become so overwhelmed and stressed that they leave the profession. That breaks my heart that teachers are leaving a field that they work so hard for and that they're so passionate about. So are you ready to operate more efficiently as a teacher? Let's talk about it. Hey, I'm Cherith Fluker. Welcome to my channel. Here, I love to help women to be unapologetic about putting themselves first. And in today's video, we are talking about overcoming overwhelm. And let's get started. The first way to overcome being burnt out as a teacher is to prioritize yourself. I know that sounds very cliche, but you know what? If you don't take care of yourself, there is no way for you to take care of the people and things around you. I say that all the time because it is so true. As a teacher, you need to make sure that you are eating well and that you are taking time to exercise. Those are 2 things that are very small, but that can really help you through your day. You know, some teachers wear it as a badge of honor that they didn't have an opportunity to eat lunch or stayed up all night grading papers or whatever the case is, but those things are the fastest way to lead you to stress and overwhelm. So the very first thing that you need to do to take care of yourself as a teacher is to eat well and exercise. You have to prioritize yourself. You have to put yourself first, no matter what. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Number 2 is to develop work-life balance. That's another one that seems easier said than done, but it is quite possible. Sometimes as teachers, we put pressures on ourselves that other people aren't really expecting. So what if those papers don't get graded the next day? So what if it takes you a week to get those test papers back to them? I used to bring papers home and stay up all night, and I think about all the time that I missed out with my own family because I was so wrapped up in grading papers. There is no prize for the person that finishes grading papers first. I know that you may think that not grading them in that timely fashion will cause the work to just pile up on you, and you might be right, but guess what? It's so much better than taking all of your extra time doing school-related stuff. You have to balance. One thing that I have learned is that stuff is going to be there. If something happens in your family and if something happens to you, that stuff is still going to be there. There is no prize for the person who finishes grading their papers first. And these days, there are so many creative ways to assess student performance without these grading assignments that are very lengthy. There are so many different things that you can try so that you're not bogging yourself down with all this extra work that is going to keep you from being able to enjoy your life and to find some balance. And I know that there are circumstances where you absolutely must get things done. In those cases, you need to be very intentional about balancing your time. When you get home, you need to say, okay, my priority is spending time with my family. I'm going to spend time with my family for an hour, 2 hours, and then I'll get started grading. And I'll grade for an hour, or I'll grade for an hour and 30 minutes, however you want to do it. But you have to be intentional about making sure that you're giving equal time to your work and also to your family, because both things are very important. Number 3 is to learn how to set boundaries. That is a big word that I use all the time, and that's because it is so important. You have to create those boundaries. An important part of setting boundaries is learning how and when to say no. A lot of times, if you're the really good teacher on the block and you get things done, people are always going to come to you because they know you're going to get things done. But y'all, don't do it to yourself. If it is something that is going to overwhelm you or is going to cause you more stress, go ahead and say no. You may have to say no to being that club sponsor. You may have to say no to taking on some extra responsibilities. It is not okay for you to continue to wear yourself out. Make sure that you are taking inventory of your life and thinking about the things that are serving you in an appropriate way and that are not causing you stress, and go ahead and say no to those things. Healthy boundaries are a must if you are going to avoid teacher burnout and keep yourself from getting too stressed out. Number 4, is to stay organized. Good teachers are organized teachers. You know what's ahead of you. You do things like batch your work. You may take a weekend to get all of your lesson plans done for the month or for however you want to do it. But find ways to be very efficient with your work so that you're working smarter and not harder. There are so many ways for you to create tasks for your students and assignments for your students that don't take as much time as it used to. Like I said, I've been doing this for a little while, so I remember, having to create things from scratch that you just don't have to create from scratch anymore. You just want to make sure that you are being as organized as possible so that you can be as efficient as possible and in turn keep yourself from getting too stressed. Number 5, get plenty of sleep. Again, I know that one is hard, but it is one that is very necessary. Now, am I saying that you got to go to bed at 8 o'clock every night? No, I know as a teacher that there are times when you have things that you have to do, but as with anything, the more you do something, the better. So if I am getting enough sleep more times than not, then I am less likely to get stressed and overwhelmed. So it is important for you to have a bedtime and stick to that bedtime as much as you can so that you can get the most sleep that you need to be productive throughout your day. Number 6, set realistic expectations. A lot of times we put expectations on ourselves that are way too steep. We have to be very real about what we can do and what we can't do. There are a lot of things that we can control, but there are a lot of things that we can't control, and we can't worry about those things. What we have to do is find a way to exist within those expectations. So if there's expectations from our school or from our administrator, we know that we have to get those things done if we want to keep our job, but we have to be realistic about how we're going to execute those expectations. So you really need to sit down and think about it. And if some of those expectations are unrealistic, don't be above talking to your administrator about different ideas that you have for maybe doing things differently. Now, is that always going to work? No, it's absolutely not going to work if you don't say that it is causing you stress and overwhelm. There may be resources available to help you. There may be things that they can do or change to help things to not be so detrimental for you. Let me let you in on a little secret. It may seem like your administrator is putting a lot of things on you, but that's because your administrator is probably getting a lot of things put on him or her. And all of you want to work together to meet those goals and those expectations, and talking and communicating is a great way to do that. Being a teacher is such an important job, and keeping your stress at bay is so important. You can't be in your classroom all stressed out and overwhelmed, because that energy is going to be detected by your students and they're going to call you out on it, or they're going to act accordingly. So you need to really make sure that you are doing everything that you can to keep your stress level to a minimum. As I was saying earlier, it absolutely breaks my heart that so many people are leaving the profession that they have worked so hard for. I know that there are a lot of things that make teaching right now a lot more difficult than it has been in the past. But I also know that there are so many people who could benefit from what you have to offer. So I think that as much as you can do to help to keep that stress at bay and to help to keep yourself from getting to the point of burnout and where you want to flee, I think as many of those things that you can do is very helpful. For me, sometimes taking a couple of days off, even though we know as teachers, sometimes taking days off can be more stressful than going to work, it's still sometimes important to just separate yourself from that place that's causing you stress for just a moment, and then just to recharge so that you can get back to being that teacher being that great teacher that you know that you are. I also know one more thing. You have already survived 100% of your hardest days as a teacher. Those days are in the past. So if you had a really hard year last year, or if you had a really hard day yesterday, you survived it and you're here, which means that you are more equipped than you think to handle the days ahead. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to share it with a teacher that you know who is on the brink of burnout. Help as many people as we can to navigate these stressful teacher streets so that we can get back to being happy in the profession that we love so much. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this video right here where we talk more about handling stress.